Welcome back, everyone. It's another technique review with your boy, Squat Papa, here to review your technique. Maybe make some jokes that ride that line between like funny and not funny. Get like a courtesy laugh here, a genuine laugh over here, and then one doesn't land. On average, I'm at least getting a laugh. Hey, some good news. We're getting some submissions here. We're getting some serious user submissions from you guys. And if that continues, if you guys like the video series, it's getting, a ton of views over on Reels. It's getting more and more views on the YouTube. People are even listening to this on Spotify and Apple Music. That's a really weird thing to do. It's like you're on Apple Music and you're like, what should I listen to on my car ride? And it's like video analysis of weightlifting, and then you just listen to it. I don't know. That's a weird thing to do. I'm not going to tell you to stop because we appreciate the views and all that good stuff. But hey, maybe hop on over to YouTube, send it to your friends, send it to your mom. Let them know that they can send in their technique reviews as well. Will I one day expand the series to squat, deadlift, bench, other lifts? Maybe. I don't know. I could be convinced to do it, but I don't think I will. I think I'll stick with snatch and clean and jerk. And as always, unlike the undisputed joker, jackal, jester of the internet woo lifts, I do not critique expert lifts. So if you're really good at weightlifting, save your video. I don't want to look at it. You're already good. Any critique that I give you wouldn't matter. Beginners only. Speaking of beginners, our critique for the day is Gabe Larner. Coach Gabe Larner. At Coach Gabe Larner on the gram. Go follow him. Pretty strong dude. All right. Let's take a look at what is going to be a clean here. No jerk, just a clean. The man has what shoes are these? The Addy Powers? I think these are Addy Power 2s. I think I wore these once. I think I wore Jason Holtz once. And I felt like clown shoes. They're very heavy. I don't like a heavy shoe when I'm weightlifting. It feels like it's hard to move I know it's not hard to move my feet because the relative force that you're putting into the ground is probably enough to move your feet regardless of if the shoes weigh an extra 6 ounces. But it's not my thing. Me, I'm an Adidas Lace-Stung guy. Nice and light. All right. As always, we are going to let this play through one time at full speed. And then we're going to slow it down and hit it frame by frame with a critique. All right, Gabe, take it away. Oh my, that was abrasive. Oh, with the bar slam too. Okay, so some things stand out immediately. Number one is the quads are absolutely hulking. Oh my God, the rip off look at the quad separation of that left quad. The man, vastus medialis, he is not lacking in the teardrop department. This guy's got well-developed quads. You know what else I like? I like a beginner who can survive a good bar crash. Is it good technique? No. Is it still fun to watch? Yeah, watch this. This is fun. Screw! And he somehow stands it up. Oh, with the bar slam as well. All right, so some things that I like as well. That leather belt, drip, out of control. Is he doing a powerlifting meet? Is he going to deadlift it? Nope. He's going to clean it in a leather belt and some Addy Powers. I like the short shorts too. The hat, I don't know about the hat. I don't know about lifting in a hat. I also don't know about lifting in like AirPods or like the Beats by Dre pod things over the ear, guys. I don't know about that. All right, now we can actually take some time to break this down. We've watched it twice all the way through. Bonus feature for you guys. All right, Gabe sets up aggressively, is a good word for it. He comes at it with some gusto. I like it. I don't dislike it. I think it's better than being tentative. He's got whatever the hell the step up from a dynamic start is. Find synonyms for dynamic and choose the one that's a level up from that. He's got a very dynamic start here in that hold on. This is what we have to address here. There has been, and people will tell you this is a myth, but they're wrong. There has been an epidemic in the youths at the gym, not people from Utah, the youths, running rampant in the gym. The youngins, the SARM goblins, the bench press heroes, whatever you want to call them. And what they're doing, and a lot of people don't know this, is they're actually running around and they're gluing plates to the ground. So you go to the bathroom, like diarrhea or something in the middle of your workout, you had too much pre-workout. So it's very important, like Gabe is doing here, to rip the bar off the ground. All right, so people are gluing bars. Is my bar glued to the ground? Nope. How about gravity? Is gravity still the same as usual? Let me check. Rip it off the ground, slam it into the ground. Is the bar loaded correctly? Feel it out. No clue, because that was the most aggressive rip ever. I've seen quite a people do, I won't say quite a few. I've seen a few people do this before, where they get the really aggressive pre-rip off the ground. Is it a good idea? Objectively, no. It's not a good idea. I don't think that that's the best use of energy, bracing, time under tension before you go into a pretty complex lift. An example that I would give would be like, let's say you see Tiger Woods stepping up to the tee and he just his practice swing is like Happy Gilmore he just runs up to the tee and swings as hard as he can, not at the ball. It's like a practice swing. And then he just immediately sets up and swings. You would never do that because it's a precision movement. Same thing with like your clean and your snatch. Gabe, I love the aggressive rip. It's fantastic to watch. Is it going to be something that you want to continue on with if you're looking to optimize your clean and snatch technique? I would say no. So A+ for dramatism. Is that a word? Theatrics, we'll say instead. C- in terms of optimizing your technique. But after the rip, we get into what is probably one of the most aggressive dynamic starts I've ever seen. Just a very big throw that ass in a circle, boy, and then drop back and initiate the pull. Now, it's not a terrible thing, right? A very dynamic start isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's probably not where we want to start beginners, where we're really worried about optimizing kind of our positions, making sure the brain has a chance to kind of feel out those positions before we start applying force as fast as we possibly can. But this is like very obviously a hyped up 1 rep max attempt from someone who has limited exposure to the lift. I'm not 100% sure what Gabe's exposure or total time doing the lifts here is, the classic lifts, clean and snatch. But I would say it's not a ton. I think he comes from more of like a bodybuilding / powerlifting background. So for him, I would say, let's slow down that. Let's get a static start. I don't mind the hips up, hips down, as long as your hips end up landing in the right spot. So right here is where he breaks the ground. I would make the argument here that his hips are going to be a little bit too high, which makes sense coming from someone who has more of a deadlifting background than they have a cleaning background. The position where you feel the most force off the ground in the deadlift is going to be slightly higher at the hip, but because the clean is kind of a vertical force vector movement opposed to a horizontal hip hinging style movement, we want to see those hips come down a little bit. It's not a lot, not a ton. This is pretty damn good for a start position right here. Maybe 1 to 2 inches. I would also say to slow it down off the ground. Again, we're going to use the analogy of getting a car started from like pushing it. You wouldn't sprint and run at the car as hard as you possibly could because you would just bounce right off of it. You start up against the car, it starts slow, and then as the car starts to move, you can apply more force and get it moving faster. Same thing with a clean off the ground. Off the ground to the power position is more so about staying in the correct position to apply force than it is applying as much force and building as much speed as you possibly can off the ground. For most lifters, you do have some very dominant athletes at the top of the sport, someone like an Ilya Ilyin who really goes hard off the ground, but with the amount of weight that he was moving in his prime, you kind of do have to give it a pretty big tug to get it started. But for Gabe, I could see this slowing down a little bit off the floor. that might allow you to not get in this position right here. So this position right here, less than ideal. The bar is going to be out in front of him. It looks like, you guys just catch that? Why did I even do that? I'm looking at a computer screen and I'm like, maybe if I get a better angle at it, I can see how many inches it is off of his body. That's not how it works. Computer screens are flat. And this is not in person. So it looks like it's maybe 1 to 2 inches out in front of him. It's not crazy far out in front of him, but what we do see is that the knees are locked out here. The hips are very high. Watch hips and shoulders. Do they rise together? No. They rise together from here to here, and then we start to see the hips shoot up while the shoulders stay in the same position. What that's going to do is to make it really, really hard. It's a lot of extra load on the back, like your lower back, keeping this in position, as opposed to just continuing to keep tension through your quads, and at this point, relying 95% on your legs as you use your lats to start sweeping the bar in. So what we're going to see here is a pretty typical power lifter, deadlifting background style extension here, where there's not a ton of knee rebend at contact. So here's kind of our first contact point. What do we notice with the shoulders in relation to the bar? Shoulders are in front of the bar. That torso angle is slightly forward, where we do want to see him in more of a vertical position. As we extend, what's going to happen is we are bringing the hips to meet the bar, as opposed to bringing the bar and sweeping it into the hips. Sweeping the bar into the hips and getting a nice solid rebend of the knees allows you to push the bar vertically, as opposed to bringing your hips to the bar, hitting that bar and moving it out away from you, where it has to then loop around. Remember, the goal is as vertical as possible with the trajectory of the bar. Obviously, it's not gonna be perfectly vertical, but we wanna get it as close as possible. So what's gonna happen is he's gonna bring his hips through early, his heels are gonna come up early, and his shoulders are never really going to move behind his hips. Remember, again, we wanna see those shoulders, as you start to extend, move behind the hips to create that vertical trajectory of the bar while also keeping the bar close. So bringing it back so that the bar then comes back towards your shoulders and you don't have to kind of go hunting for it forward, which is kind of what we're going to see here. However, if we are celebrating some bright spots in this lift, and we most definitely should, because overall it is a quality lift. It's not perfect, but it is quality from Gabe. This extension position here is very, very solid. Hips, knees, ankles, all extended. Bar is in contact with a good position. It first makes contact about mid-thigh, and he kind of brushes it up the thighs. Very nice. It's exactly what we want to see there. So at extension, this is as good as the lift gets here. Gabe, you can continue to extend like this with this level of force in this position right here, maybe getting the shoulders back just a touch, and you fix up some of the other stuff, you're gonna immediately put 20 to 30 pounds on this. So good stuff ahead for you. As we start to pull ourselves under the bar, I mean, he does a pretty good job for a beginner of pulling himself under the bar. I just want you to watch his hands and his elbows here. He does a decent job. Yeah, he kind of gets a little low a little early, but it's a decent pull under the bar till about right here. This is where we kind of start to see that disconnect. So we do see a lot of foot lift that we don't need. This position right here, there's nothing really integrating or interfacing with the ground. You better be pulling on that bar pretty hard at this point so that you at least have some focal point of force application. If you're not, what's going to happen is you're going to get exceptionally disconnected from the bar, and it's going to look like this. This is where, if you're strong, you survive this. If you're weak, your L5 vertebrae comes out of your butthole. So the first one beats the latter, I would say. It's definitely a better scenario to be strong. What does Mark Bell say? Strength is never a weakness. Let's see. Is Gabe strong Or are we going to lose an L5 out of his rectum? He's strong. He's a strong boy. But this separation is what's really kind of a lot of lifters later on in their career, if they continue to have this level of a bar crash, will have issues with their knees, their ankles, their hips, their back, because just absorbing all of this force, you know, letting 300 pounds basically from a dead hang just crash on you and smash you down into the hole like this, it's not a recipe for longevity. There's no amount of fish oil, glycine, collagen protein, any joint repair supplement that's going to save you from something like that. So one other thing that we do see here in this bottom position, and it's likely a result of getting crashed on, is that we actually see a little bit of an elbow touch here, which is danger, danger. Anyone who has had a really bad elbow touch, go ahead and raise your hand. Oh, it's me. And you felt your knuckles touch the back of your forearm. You know that this is the danger zone right here. This is how people break their wrists. So not getting crashed on is going to be good. It looks like Gabe is doing a decent job of extending his thoracic spine, but we definitely have some limitation here. I would say it's more lat. Usually I just blame the thoracic spine. Usually it's T-spine. Most people have rebar in their T-spine. They're so inflexible, but I think this is more lat. So it looks like he's just unable to kind of get those elbows up. So doing some mobility work in the lats would help this bottom position. But overall, I mean, if we look at optimizing things, meeting the bar better, pulling it better, receiving it more efficiently, fixating the bar in the front rack is what I'm trying, that's the TLDR here. If we can fix those kind of things, this bottom position right here, I mean, this is booty hole on the ground level of mobility right here. This is ass to ankles. So no mobility restrictions in terms of getting low in that squat or that receiving position. And then once he's kind of got it fixated here, I don't recall what Gabe's exact front squat is, but like most people, when they get crashed on like that, that's not what it looks like when they stand it up. Most people, when they get crashed on to that extent, either stay in this position right here, fold backwards, try and double bounce. They don't stand it up with that level of speed. So we're looking at some serious bar velocity there. So the leg strength is there, the pull strength is there. Gabe's biggest weakness is just going to be timing and efficiency in getting that bar fixated. A weakness that he will never have is hype and celebration. One more time with the bar slam. Simply love to see it. All right, so some points of improvement for Gabe to take away, and possibly for you if your clean looks like this. So at the knee, what do we want to see here? More bend in the knee, so that we can scoop under the bar and drive it vertically. Also want to see that bar closer to the thigh earlier, using those lats to sweep it in. At contact, we want to see those ankles, or not those ankles, those heels rather, making contact with the ground. Shoulders should be slightly back from this position, driving full foot. Shoulders on top of the bar, covering up the bar, getting ready to extend vertically. At extension, we want to slightly throw the shoulders back a little bit, keeping that barbell closer so that we don't have to jump forward to chase it. That'll help us stay a lot more connected, and this receiving or this fixation point will smooth out. We won't get crashed on as much. And that's where the corrections end, because everything from there, standing it up, he does a good job of kind of getting the bar in a better position to stand up out of the squat. The bar slam is elegant. Love it. Get that shit up off of me. Simply love to see it. All right, Gabe. Now, take all those points, improve, put more weight on the bar, and show me what you got. I think that if Gabe is able to fix those 3 or 4 things that we mentioned, I wasn't counting as we went, could have been 4, could have been 5, who knows? I can guarantee that he will be putting another 10, 15 kilos on the bar, 20 to 30 pounds for my Americans, and posting / sending me a PR very soon. Guys, keep the video submissions coming at @the_Squatfather on Instagram or at Gifted Performance. At Gifted Performance is Jake. So don't send me your feet pictures over there. Unless you want Jake to have them. That's cool. You can have them. He loves feet. So send those video submissions so that you can get featured on the YouTube for your own critique. You can improve, you can PR, and you can thank me later, free of charge. We'll see you on the next one in the meantime and in between times. And as always, stay gifted, folks. Go out there and do it. See ya.